This is a story I wrote called Tandem Peel. Chapter 1 Puttin' on the Side. Belanto Stray was kidding around with Candy at the park. He put a swift boot in the knee-high and everyone was happy. He was mental and she was gaunt. Probably for the best, anyhow. They liked to peel together. He performed a strawberry tandem yow, but it was too much for her, so she jittered and fled. He liked influenza on his morning toast and pride on his moments. Not particularly rational, but jolly just the same. On Candy's ball cap it read, Wu Wei in crisp red lettering sewn by hand in a factory run by gnomes. She was so polite that she excised her middle finger. Pretty girl Belana Flores went juggling with Belanto for money. Candy blew a gasket over it and phased into parallel universes/realities in which she was really good at cooking. The meats, they got her good when she ate them. The taste was of forever and even more. Many loved the taste of her meats together when she marketed her cooking ability at a gourmet tasty-rant for the sake of eternity. Belanto and Candy went to the tasty-rant together after juggling to sample the admirable delicacies, but alas, there was a rat in the corner, and an inspector shut the place down temporarily until they got it up to code. But they got to peel an orange first, so they were happy. The scoundrel came and clawed down a telephone pole almost onto them. Darn you, poopy scoundrel. We run a tight ship around here, said Belanto. No room for your shenanigans. His Fu Manchu was getting in his custard, and it was fucking pissing the fuck off pretty girl Belana the Champ Flores. It was tantamount to riding a unicycle backwards for 10 miles. Belanto was into wigs, but they weren't doing it for him anymore, so he volunteered for psychological research to quell the time. They were testing the effects of stallion riding on cognition. It was intense. His saddle was made of the intensest leather from the best cows only, shipped straight from India. That night Belanto was writing in his journal, anything bad anyone could say about me would be an understatement. I'm the baddest person on the entire planet. He continued, it would be illegal to write what I really believe. Buddhism isn't a belief, it's a fact, bellowed Candy out her rolled-down window on the highway. She was barely not chastising Belanto severely, for he had transgressed as only the Scottish can. Fortune and misfortune are but a delusion of the mind, whispered the quivering and excited Belanto Stray. He remote-viewed some lottery numbers and made it big. Not one of you is my equal, said Candy on an internet forum with unfortunate results. Many people began emailing her thousands and thousands of obscene images consequently. Maybe she should just count her breathing, she thought. Belanto knew that no one else besides God would ever understand nor care about his spiritual practice, but God was a fine teammate, so he remained reasonably content. Belanto wanted to raise people out of darkness by educating them about spirituality. Belana was fat-shaming Candy vigorously so that she cried. Candy played violin as she cried alone in her apartment without dinner, for shame upon the reckless Belana. Moments come and go, but this now is permanent. Belanto wrote in his journal, I feel the presence of spirit. He became the head of a minor pen manufacturing corporation. CIA agents were after Belanto because of his outrageous psi abilities. He was interested in learning about Pinochle. He was becoming aware of the fact that actual God is not at all like in the Judeo-Christian storybooks. What alchemical recipe would he cast upon the ethers? Edgar Casey came to Belanto in a dream. The chi swirled around him as a flock of birds might gently spread. Human happiness is such a funny thing. It's freedom, not circumstance. People have wrong notions about contentment or happiness. We should understand what it really is, and then we will know that everyone deserves it. Belanto learned from Edgar Casey the notion of having a spiritual ideal to focus upon. Even his body language revealed so much about his message. It's not true what they say about Edgar Casey being boring when he's not in a channeling state. Your relationships with other humans is your relationship with God, said Edgar Casey. Belanto used his lottery winnings to build a spiritual education center. He was just barely not putting Candy in prison. Jopp Nursen put a pallet of silt upon a hill as an art project meant to describe the sorrow of old age. A museum purchased the artwork for a sizable sum, but he had a mammoth heart-on. He liked to make eye contact and hold hands while he pooed. Biggs Manhattan rode shotgun with Jopp all the way to the Martini Club. Belanto put his fat chance on blast for the last time. He pooed, and he pooed hard, wanting to eat a sandwich, which is like a regular sandwich, only you're standing while you eat it. His boutonniere was disgusting. He was already in heaven. He was already in the afterlife. He started scrawling on pieces of paper madly and yelling through molten cackles, "I'm just for you, Donny T." He asked for his puddin' on the side when he went to go eat at the Martini Club. Chapter 2, The Z-Mints. "I'm all about the Z-Mints, you dig?" shouted Belanto at the top of his lungs to Biggs Manhattan in the Martini Club. He popped a few to the tune of fresh happiness. He raped himself a few times before his next drink. "You smell that, Biggs? That's the smell of a joyous heart," exclaimed Belanto quickly. He rotated the heel of his left foot forward and placed one arm akimbo. As an entree, they ordered the cacabanza woon, a favorite chicken pie dish. Belanto wanted to peel, but there was nothing to peel. He also loved a stack, anything and everything. He recently started selling $3 handshakes. People loved them because they were firm, and he wore at least one necktie and at least one hat while handshaking. "Hey, Bailana," asked Belanto kindly, "are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see." Bailana proceeded to dance frantically, moving like an encyclopedia. Belanto missed the before time, the pre-COVID era. Belanto missed his dead friend. Belanto missed late 90s chicken nuggets. Belanto was afraid, so he popped a Z-Mint. "Oh, that's the stuff," he exclaimed. "Our world is made of language," said Candy to Belanto. "Not everyone is even trying to be a good citizen," said Belanto through a mouthful of plain kitchen bread. "Toodaloo," yelled Biggs Manhattan, punching a Vasquine hole through the middle of Belanto's golden chest. "Belanto is a dream I'm having," said Belanto with a sigh. "I'm reluctantly realizing that the reality that God is dead and all that that implies," said Belanto. He went on her as she strode. She wanted to go to the other ridge. His cheeks melted into sludge. He confessed that he was a pooaholic. He had to drink several liters of diarrhea every day or else he had trouble breathing. It was a good day. But he strode on and on and on. The other ridge beckoned as the wind might sound on a plain day. Candy and Belanto were really engaging company for one another. They played a game of wits often, but secretively. He did some Buddhism to her, and she liked it like Christmas. Bilana became world famous for playing a simple and unimpressive melody on the penny whistle. She liked to dance with the scoundrel sometimes. A firm slap on the ass was all it took to make him smile. Bilana took up felt collecting to kill time. She blew all her money on felt and made designs with it. Her sorority Zeta Phi Beta loved it. They even traded her hats for some of her felt designs. One of the sorority members was playing Truth or Dare and got dared to run headfirst into a wall yelling, "Trumpelstiltskin, biatch!" Of course she had to, and so she did. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Her shorts were totally clashing with her shirt. She was a despot, trading her rare mint-condition Dupani Flow baseball card for cash. Dupani Flow had only hit home runs during his career, until he missed once, causing him to decide to retire. But it wasn't up to him, it was up to God. "Pumpernickel Frew has put his eyes on you, and now you're going to get it. Now you're going to get it," spake grandly a little frog on a log named Pumpernickel Frew. The Zeta Phi Beta's head was still sore from the wall. She dropped the expensive baseball card and ran. The frog Pumpernickel Frew was slowly sipping ayahuasca on the log. He popped a Z-Mint and went wild. Belanto was watching slyly from a hill. The Zeta Phi Beta's name was Portridge Pennyweather, and she had led a solemn life, not however as solemn as a life as Belanto or Biggs. Drop Nurson telepathically urged everyone to come to the other ridge. Belanto wanted to learn chi alchemy, but no one could teach him except for perhaps a sorcerer in the other ridge. He would go to find his power. Chapter 3, The Journey. Belanto and Portridge set off on the long trek to the other ridge. It was a distance fraught with danger and difficulty, as no automobiles were allowed near the place. They had to go on foot. The scoundrel, pretty girl Belana Flores, and Candy followed them secretively. It was a good day. Some shimmering corn guided them. Everyone in the town house wore guild insignias. The reptilians sent CIA agents to keep tabs on them. The shimmering corn didn't like the feathers, so he scrammed his ass out of there. They were alone, and they were bold, trotting along at a might fine clip. Just then, at CIA headquarters, "Look at them. How fast they're going. That's damn near a stallion, the average speed of a running stallion." Belanto put habanero juice on Portridge's underwear as a prank. It was bad. Then there was a scandal. Portridge lied, saying that Belanto was lighter than a cloud when he was not, for his prank would not have been possible in that case. She imbibed, and Thurston Giles put a stop to it. If there was one thing he couldn't stand, it was fast lemons. Thurston called Portridge and Belanto shit gigglers. It was intense. Then Montana challenged Portridge to a duel, but it lost because but he lost because it's not. Then Montana challenged Portridge to a duel, but it lost because it's not a person. Belanto ran for president with a campaign slogan, "Never Enough Pies." He was wildly successful with marginalized groups all over the nation because of his insightful, radicalized perspective that pies could solve all political problems. Gymnastics lessons were being prescribed all over town as a cure for anxiety and depression, of which there was much at that place and time. Belanto won the presidency and spent most of his time in office practicing gymnastics instead of working, but he believed and told others to believe that it was a shamanic ritual which would cure all cancer within the month. It was October. One of Belanto's interns went vegan, all the way vegan, in the blink of an eye, and she felt so much better afterward. The secret government research organization that dealt with psi phenomena, including summoning UFOs, talked to Belanto but kept a lot of secrets. Biggs Manhattan got hired as a secret agent for the secret government psi research organization. No more time for martinis. The vegan intern expressed concern about Monsanto's GMO crops, but no one listened. She grew zucchini in her garden, but it would not grow fast enough for her, so she punched the soil over and over until she was sore, yelling things like, "Damn you, zucchini to hell, and what did I ever do to deserve this? What did I ever do to you to deserve this?" A sorcerer named Seth became Belanto's advisor and right-hand man. He knew how to shift the ethers in subtle enough a way that he could help solve serious problems. He casted a divine sigil upon parchment in the Oval Office. He was a Buddhist monk who wanted a big boy 10,000 brand cummerbund. The adorable Belana joined a charity to end animal cruelty, and Belanto became a famous fiction author, striking deals with fast food restaurants to advertise their businesses in his novels. His first novel was about a woman named Bicky Tanders, who choked to death on too much strudel. There was an air of longing about her, something sweet and jubilant. She spent most of her free time collecting yes men and dancing. Belanto gradually found out that all of his friends and girlfriends were hired by the CIA to befriend and nurture him because he had been identified as unusually talented at psi abilities. Vicky Tanders wrote in her journal, "Sometimes the true correct thing is something where everyone will hate me for doing it, but it's still true and correct. It's still the true correct thing." Belanto went to the BR. The scoundrel was yelling outside like a lunatic. Belana practiced saw lung proficiently. They arrived gently at the other ridge after having been sidetracked. Belanto learned chi alchemy from the sorcerer named Seth at a holy embankment at Other Ridge, like a jazz musician juggling harmonics. He would single-handedly write untold love, growth, and sacred peace into human history. Chapter 4, Beginningless Time. Belanto knew that Kabbalah could make one dead, insane, or a powerful force for evil if carried out improperly. It was risky, not secure, not safe, though true and good and necessary. Belanto could not stand Seth's new Big Boy 10,000 cummerbund. It really grossed him out. It was the shade of the color, like a dark greenish yellow, so off-putting. It ruined his day just seeing it. Belana flirted with Joe Biden and put a flat cap on you sideways. People gathered at the Other Ridge townhouse and practiced capoeira and play djembe drums. Belana and Candy could be seen flying through the air past one another. Both displayed such raw tenacity that there was almost nothing you could compare it to. They were donating to a lot of different charities, tuning their bodhicitta as you might tune a violin. Belanto was impeached for conduct unbecoming of a leader. He dyed his hair blue and took up various trading card games as a hobby. Jock Nursen and pretty girl Belana Flores started dating. They took it slow at first. They made a campfire at the Other Ridge. Everyone was there. Belanto was a psychic medium and could speak to the spirit of Edgar Casey as well as summon CE5 UFOs. Belanto was beginning to realize that things aren't always what they seem. This invisible spiritual world was for him becoming more and more commonplace in his everyday life. Do not try and understand because you cannot and will not ever understand. Belana kept practicing Sa Lung. You should have been there. Belana kept asking Belanto, what if God or goodness or truth is actually something essentially culturally not sanctioned or taboo? Belanto just responded, no one will ever be finished learning Chi alchemy. The other ridge had many wide open plains and rivers. The largest river was called the Dew River, flowing past where they were staying at the Das area of Other Ridge. The winds were sharply chilling with some snow at that time of year. Portridge knew a rare type of yoga called Tumo that could keep a person warm even in the snow. Belanto wore simple clothing for a simple person, nothing too fancy or expensive. Belana was the same way, but not Candy or Portridge. Jop wore an elaborate shawl rather than regular clothing to show off like a peacock. Belana was a doctoral candidate writing her dissertation studying transpersonal psychology. Belanto's novel character, Bicky Tanders, loved to write about walking meditation when she wasn't working to donate to charities or otherwise cultivate herself. Is they gonna overturn Roe v. Wade? Belana asked Belanto. He just replied saying he hopes not. Seth taught Belanto how to control his chi energy within the central channel at the spine and the dantian at the lower belly 2 inches in and 2 inches down. Tumo was called the whispered tradition because of its secretiveness. It was kept secret for a reason. It could be perverted or abused without proper understanding. Seth emphasized the importance of feeling, reaching out into the eternal now moment, phase shifting through parallel reality after parallel reality, more and more like what you prefer, all within this one now moment. Belanto's journey would never end because there is no ultimate reference point of meaning or interpretation, no center of Tai Chi, no end to how much one can love. But Belanto did find these recurring themes over and over until he understood them more and more. The essence of peace, the essence of love, eternity, thinking together in harmony, working to build a good society by breaking the pattern like a complex, non-repeating drumbeat. The end.